There, fellow Scots of all different denominations and types and political affiliations. I wanted to speak about something that's increasingly going to get more important as we near a referendum when we should actually be declaring independence, my opinion, but that's beside the point. Now it's focusing on the party that the first party I ever joined in Scotland, which was SNP, and I had to unfortunately leave that because of the fact they wouldn't allow multiple membership. I joined the Greens later on, and they wouldn't allow me to be a donating member of both. So, well, bye, tatty, bye. Right? And that's what happens when people are, what's the word? Inflexible. So, it kind of points to other issues in the SNP, and I'm going to focus on the supporters first of all. So, one thing I've noticed is a lot of these other parties popping up. And obviously it's not a good thing for independence, and this stems from something that's it's endemic globally, which is when you ignore subsets of people, and they can actually be these little subsets, if you add them all together, probably sometimes create a majority. If you ignore them all, you get like what you're getting right now in America, and you get, well, this is human nature all throughout history. If you don't give people a voice, what they end up doing is they'll splinter off. They'll find their own tribe, and this is the where I want to focus on is tribalism. And this tribalism is happening because it's something I've seen in the SNP for a long time. I really, by the way, just let me say here, I really like Alex Salmond. He's probably my favorite politician of all time, next to Varoufakis from Greece. But I would say that, and I really like Nicola Sturgeon, although I don't like what she does. I don't like her failure to act. I don't like the fact that she goes along with English law, like we should somehow give two shits about what English law says when we have our own legal system. Although our legal system I don't really trust, and because I don't trust any legal system, and there's very good reason for this. I have supporting evidence in my own life that family members, things they've gone through, that show that just like any other country, the Scottish legal system supports people who are evil. And it's just law is designed to pilfer from the poor, pilfer from the average man, vindicate the evil wealthy especially, and put conditions in place that do not favour good, hardworking folk. It's just simple fact. I've gone through it myself in multiple countries. I've won cases at great expense in England as well. Spent over 100 grand defending myself against a trumped up case pushed by a corrupt police officer who, when she found out her mistake, instead of actually owning up to it, she just ran away for the last 10 days of the court case when me and my ex-wife were facing a lengthy jail sentence. So it just shows you how disgusting these systems are. It's nothing to do with justice. I would actually go so far as to say they are injustice systems. So when someone in the SNP, oh, that wee rabbit, this is such a cutie. So when someone in the SNP the other day was saying to me, supporters, was saying to me that Tommy Sheridan couldn't be trusted because he'd lied under oath years ago. I'm like, I think we can all tell that Tommy Sheridan's genuine. By the way, I can't stand socialism. I really like Tommy Sheridan. He's a great guy, fantastic person. I don't agree with his politics. That doesn't mean I'm not going to agree with him. That doesn't mean we can't stand side by side and fight against the totalitarian oppressors of the system of Great Shittin based in Westminster. And we should. And he advocates his own people. You know, the Scottish Socialist Party years ago were advocating to vote for SNP first, and I think they were saying second back then. And this is going to bring me to another issue. Voting SNP first and second is a wasted vote for your second vote. We know this already. It's not a maybe, just the stats are all available. We can see it didn't help. We can see what is the best strategy to get rid of the Tory party, to get rid of the Labour Party, because they're just red Tories. They don't belong in Scotland. They're an English party. Get rid of them. Right? We can start our own Labour Party. After Scotland's independent, we can start our own little red Labour Party. We can even start our own Tory party and get rid, because let's face it, Ruth and her chums, and what's his name again? I can't remember, the new wee little freak that they've got at the helm there. Little weirdo, just as bad as her, just as bad as Ruth. They won't belong in independent Scotland. They don't know where they are. They'll quickly move to England, where they should be, just to bring their nose closer to their master's ass, right? So to get back to the issue I've got, is these parties are popping up for one simple reason, and that is the intolerance of people who are SNP supporters. And I'm pretty sure the same might happen with the Green Party if they were in the number one position. I was a member of the Green Party until it's become quite difficult for me to pay because they want direct debit. They won't let you pay by card, so I don't know why they've changed that system. But anyway, I'm still a supporter of the Greens. I support many of their policies, although I'm actually a lefty libertarian. And so I don't align with a lot of their stuff. I'm for less government, if any at all. Although I do understand that anarchistic views, even though the idealism part is good, because we can do most aspects of government would never have existed if we have the technology that we have today. That's just something to bear in mind. We don't actually need these power structures. But so localism, for example, would work perfectly fine. The reason why you can't have it is because you already have other countries with centralized government, or the main government, not the regional government. They would just end up attacking you. They'd see you as a weak force that they could basically do what the English Empire did, and that's how England took over Scotland, because we were tribal at the time. So what's happening to SNP is also tribalism. They're expecting everyone, even though they were known as the Tartan Tories themselves before. Now you have to be LGBT flag waving, ultra liberal, ultra feminist, just not to be shouted down or chased out of the park. I'm not any of those things. I believe in gay rights. What I want to know is who the hell took the rights in the first place? Who said they couldn't marry someone in the first place? Who said they couldn't? That's where I stand when it comes to LGBT stuff. I think the agenda itself of LGBTQ, ZAP, whatever, it comes from a place of a sinister place. I don't believe it's for the best. It's kind of cloak and dagger. It's something. It's serving a different agenda. Although, you can't complain about the fact that people are going to get more rights and there might be some cultural shifts that do stamp out bullying and stuff. But, when you implement more and more laws, what I would say is implement the laws we already have. Let me get to the point of what's happening with these parties, like the Alliance for Independence. These are people who are told, you voted against the EU. I've got a dipshit brother who voted against for Brexit, and because of all this tribalism, he's basically become a uner now. He's got into that groupthink that people get into, and now that groupthink is, well, if you're with us or against us. Oh, hang on. Oh, now he's conflicted. Oh, he's a Brexiteer. Oh, that means, well, as I say, he's basically a uner. He's of no good to any of us. I don't think he'll bother even doing a postal vote and to vote for independence. He's got a major chip in his shoulder from about the SNP party, like I do as well. But not a major chip. I've got issues with them, and my major issues is the things that I told them to do in 2013, 2014 without getting one reply from anyone. The services that I offered pro bono to implement systems that would allow a tamper-proof election system. They're not interested. Now, you always have to worry if a party is not interested in a tamper-proof election system. That would lead you to believe that there's a small chance there that maybe they're just controlled opposition. When a party fails to use a mandate multiple times, to believe we somehow voted 45%, then out of nowhere we get 56 seats out of 59 seats for the SNP. Well, we know the referendum was rigged then, don't we? Just by that one thing alone. But if you step back and you look at other things, you look at things that we are learning as fact now that you'd be called a conspiracy theorist if you said back then, like the involvement from the Queen, for example, the involvement in the British system. Well, these are all things that are fact. We know they're fact now. We live in a completely rigged world. Yes, that's right. It's rigged in America. It's rigged everywhere. I've lived all around the world, about 150 countries I've been to, and I've lived in about 6 or 7. It's the same everywhere. It's not going to change. And for people to be dumb enough to say that written statements made by everyone from Rockefeller Foundation, WHO, Center for Disease Control, and you parrot back that statement they've said, and these trained automatons will call you a conspiracy theorist when something is public knowledge. You could bring up the Vietnam War, for example. Gulf of Tonkin incident didn't happen. You can bring up the bombing, the destruction of Iraq for WMDs that not only didn't exist, but Tony Blair, the war criminal that he is, and Bush knew they didn't exist. But we still went to war. We haven't asked for any heads to roll. So we do live in a corrupt world. If you don't think conspiracies happen, go down to your local courts and get a printout of all the public knowledge cases. It's public knowledge. Do a Freedom of Information request and find out how many conspiracies happened in your region or in the country. This is your right under a Freedom of Information request. You go ask for it. And what you'll find is conspiracy to commit murder, conspiracy to commit fraud is an all too common thing. So you have to be a complete Gwendolyn, a total moron, not to understand that conspiracy is something that's around us all the time. So if you try label shame me to call me a conspiracy theorist just because I've got the powers of reasoning, deductive thought, critical thinking that you don't, or that you self-censor and you somehow think that you're morally superior because you don't want to look at a video or you don't want to read some facts and debate those points, and then we can both delve in together and I might find out that one of those points is wrong. Instead of you just sending me memes that somebody wrote that you don't even know are true or not. Well, this is the exact same way. And by the way, I'm talking about this because this is very common with the SNP. I know it's common with everyone. You're going to find it in the UNR camp. You're going to find it with Labour supporters and everything. All I'm focused on is the party that I lend my fucking vote to all the time that doesn't deserve my vote. Because the people who support it, overwhelmingly, I'm going to say, are a bunch of fucking assholes who've got no tolerance for anyone who doesn't think the exact same groupthink thoughts they do. That everyone has to be this certain segment of the left, that everyone has to be pro-EU. Yeah, I live in the EU, I'm pro-EU. I can understand the concerns that people have that we would leave one controlling superstructure and enter another, or be constrained by another. We're already constrained by the EU. They already take most of our fishing rights. Okay, England sold us down the river to make that happen, but the EU accepted it. The thing that I do tell Brexiteers all the time is that, whatever you think, the UK is a political non-union. It's a political domination. It's masquerading as union. It's a mask for English imperialism. It has nothing to do with Britain or the four countries in the union. It has everything to do with a small number of. It doesn't even have to do with England. It's got to do with a small number of elite. I think we all know this. I'm not going to get down in this point, but what I will get into the point is that the bullying and the intolerance from SNP and the cultural Marxism within that party and the supporters is what's driving people away, and it's what's causing the fracturing. Even though people like myself who are Green supporters and even Alliance for Scotland supporters will probably still vote SNP 1 and maybe even Greens 2, although I don't think so. Although none of them can tell me what they don't like about the Greens. The same as they can't have a decent conversation about what it is they don't like about SNP a lot of times. The same as UNRs, they can't tell you why WEEC is so bad. They're just in a little echo chamber, just like SNP supporters are. If you don't stop doing this shit, you are going to fuck it up for all of us. It's bad enough that your party has a bunch of lazy, crazy trained fuckers who won't get out of the way and let someone step up who actually will do something. As I said, I was willing to give my services for free. I'm a senior project manager and a program manager by trade. I've been an IT engineer for years. I understand programming. I've put in a lot of systems in many countries around the world. I know what I'm doing. I would be happy to put in a tamper-proof election system in Scotland. Something that you would basically go and vote electronically. It would give you 2 printouts. You'd put 1 printout in a ballot box. The ballot box would be counted. The ballot box would be counted and compared with the electronic results. The electronic results would be published straight away. As soon as you vote, it would be on the website. You would look for your not social security number, what is it called in Britain again? It's escaping me. National Health, you know what I mean. I can't remember the bloody name of it again. So you put your number in there. As you look at your number on the website, you would see what you voted for. Hang on, I didn't vote that. Right, let me contact this number down the bottom here to let them know that I'm the person. I can even prove my ID that I didn't vote that one. It gets flipped for what it should be, and it also gets investigated. Why the fuck was that vote wrong? Tracing who has admin access to these systems, and all those systems should be. See, I understand how these things work. I understand how data forensics works. So it's not that hard to create an uncorruptible system. And then those results will be compared with the paper ballots, as well as you've got retainers, the carbon copy of your vote. So if anything ever happens, like that's happening in America right now, where they conveniently get rid of the envelopes that hold them, so you can't tell the fraudulent postal votes. Oh yes, America has completely rigged, but it was also rigged when Bush won the election. Both parties cheat, both in the primaries and in the elections. So don't be so fucking naive to really believe that Biden actually got voted in. He might have won, but they definitely cheated. They might have still won. What I'm saying is they might have still won by 2 million votes, despite the cheating. But they definitely cheated to the tune of possibly millions of ballots. That's looking increasingly like a fact now, if you look at all of the people that are standing up in court. Although the left media will not report any of it. And this is why a lot of you won't think that's even happening. Because you're just on your little echo chamber. Oh, what is my middle? What is baby Fifi? It's just like a would do. Sky TV didn't tell me if you're a right wing or whatever. You need to be more discerning. Start looking for your information instead of being fed it in your fucking YouTube feed. So I get a bit wound up when I talk about this. But anyway, this is the voting system, right? So the SNP didn't do anything about it. I didn't get any response. Even when I was a member, no response at all. Even when they told me that I couldn't be a member of both the Greens and SNP, so I said, bye, right? I'm not going to be part of your party anymore, since you're totally intolerant to multiple, because I'm trying to support any party at that time that was pro-Indy, right? And when I look at the situation now, where people in the SNP are skiting about the fact that we got all these seats, we don't even need the Greens. It's people like me that are voting for your party that I'm no longer part of, even though I'm with the Greens. That's the reason why you are where you are. Stop being so... And there's no solidarity from you. And you wonder why people create other parties. And then, of course, you're labeled... Here's that label. A guy said to me the other day, would you really want these AFI guys in with you? What's it called again? I can't remember the name of the party. The one for independence, League for Independence, Action for Independence. I can't remember the name of it. I don't even care. I'm just saying these groups are getting created because of your intolerance, people in the SNP. And if they were just stuck together, it was SNP 1, Greens 2. We would have two powerful parties that would then kick out, because that would mean that Labour would have no seats at all. Labour would be gone. Then what would it be? Think back to 2014 when they tried to claim it was just SNP against the world. And it wasn't. There was, I think, 5 parties in total. 3 main ones would be SNP, Scottish Socialist Party, and the Greens. But there was more than that. It took 2 other ones. But that's what they make it look like. And you just want to keep it just SNP. Everyone behind SNP. Well, the SNP are not going to lose anything by us all coming behind them for the first vote. They're actually going to gain more because they're getting our votes that don't belong to them, but we're going to give them anyway. And all we ask in return is put your second vote to these other parties, which will then strengthen the solidarity of having a second party instead of SNP fighting 2 or 3 parties on the other side, because that's what's happening now. Well, that was happening in from 2016 when Nicola Sturgeon put her video out, which is wrong, and she should correct that. Again, as much as I like watching her argue and kick ass, I've started to question her this year. What the fuck is she doing? Why is she not declaring independence or making it? Why is she not implementing a voting system that people like myself are hammering them for on Twitter, and they never give so much as a response? Arrogant assholes that they are. And too busy mismanaging systems. I mean, everything, even from the tram system in Edinburgh, whatever you look at in Scotland, I'm just seeing a country that's becoming more and more like England all the time. People who are there just for their pension and to look after their own affairs. And these people, I would like to say, if you are that kind of person, all you're doing looking out for yourself, you are a traitor. And if times ever change, because radicalization will happen when you ignore people. Look what's happened in America. Radicalization happens when you ignore people's voices, right? Scotland will go through a radical stage if you don't stop this shit. And it will be either radical right-wingers or it will be alternative left-wingers who radicalize. And this is what leads to guillotines. And your head will be on that chopping block when these sort of things happen. So you need to wake the fuck up, because you're for the sake of you buying a second holiday home or whatever it is you want to do with your little ill-gotten gains. You're committing treason. That's what you're doing. Anything that gets in the way. If you're serving yourself before serving the country, you're committing treason, right? So, in the case of this SNP situation, I'm disgusted that no one's come forward. Let's just say, well, one, the guy complaining about Tommy Sheridan. Oh, he lied in court. What do you mean to the disgusting Scottish court system that basically parrots anything the English court system does? For example, the gay rights I spoke about before. Gay rights only became a thing in Scotland 80 or 81. They got voted for the same-sex marriage. Was that 2013? July 2013, and they only went into effect in March 2013. Same as in England. Oh, look at that! It's this separate legal system with the exact same thing that also seemed to be there to exonerate people who are evil, to help out paedophiles like Jimmy Savile and let them off the hook all the time. Isn't it convenient? So Tommy Sheridan, lied against those shower pieces of shit, and what, he's supposed to be a bad guy now? I think we all know the guy's a patriot. I mean, he's telling his people in his own party years ago to vote SNP. I think you can say that he's got the right idea behind him, and these people have the fucking audacity to say, "Oh, I can't believe what he's saying," you know. So as I said to a guy the other day, "Oh, you can't believe what he's saying because he lied in court years ago because of a defamation case from News of the World, who are a bunch of sleazy pieces of crap, like all the English media is. So you're going to judge him by that. So let's judge in that case. Let's judge Albert Einstein because he was a womanizer. So since he was a bad guy, E does not equal MC squared anymore. Because we got to remember this: when someone's speaking logic and sense, if it comes from the mouth of someone that says something you didn't like before, that means you've got to denounce everything else they say, because that's the groupthink. Groupthink is the thing that's going to fucking kill the SNP, and it's going to kill the drive for independence. And from what I can see, a lot of SNP people wouldn't, members and staff alike, wouldn't mind that, because they've got other agendas on the side. It's all about being part of a cliquey little echo chamber, that, you know, little groupthink echo chamber that all thinks the same. We all pat each other's back, a big circle jerk, and you know, I can see we're going to steal defeat from the jaws of victory yet again. That great Scottish tradition of failing at the last hurdle, you know, because we can't agree on a colour of shite, as they said in Braveheart. So true. We're going to go there again because you're creating tribalism. I'm obviously, this is the royal you, the royal we, you know. Not everyone, of course, but I think a lot of SNP members can see the same things. A lot of them agree with me. I've got a lot of SNP people who do agree with what I'm saying right now. This division is being sown by people who are non-thinking automatons. People who you try to show evidence to, and they'll say, "Look, whatever, you must be a conspiracy theorist," and, you know, feared morons. The scared people who lost the last referendum, not because we didn't have a majority. We definitely had a majority. But the rigging, together with the lies from Westminster, together with the swing vote fear, "Oh, I'm so feared, I may not get my child," you know, that kind of person. They collectively caused the failure. And Alex Salmond brought us there, and the SNP turned on him. And it's another thing that's disgusting that needs to come out in the open more. Again, failure of proper communication from the SNP. I don't buy the story that, I mean, this comes straight from the top. One, why is Nicola Sturgeon not making a proper public announcement about this? Let's get to the bottom of this, because if she has been in collusion with other people to screw over Alex, who brought us our own parliament, we wouldn't have this if it wasn't for him. Then we need to get rid of these people now. Not tomorrow, not fucking next Wednesday. Now. Straight away, you get the fuck out of that seat right now. And then we move forward with people who can get us there. Better we delay 1 year, although I don't want to. I would rather have an African-style voting system where they dye your finger, because what we had last time was worse than that. A fucking pencil and a black and white paper. It was disgusting. I've been to elections in Africa. I've lived in Africa. I've lived in Australasia. I've lived in America. Our election system was the most pathetic I ever seen, that referendum we had. Should be 2 questions on the ballot. One, should we dissolve the Scottish Crown? Very good reason for this. I'll get onto it in a minute. And the second one, should Scotland be an independent country? That's it. Very simple. It should be a ballot that's in colour. It should reflect the fact that we're a first world developed country, because the last one didn't. We won't have time to put in the system I spoke about. It just won't happen. It will just end up in custard because the SNP and the government sectors in general can't deliver a parcel of shite, let alone an election system. So I'm not going to delude myself that that's possible. But let's just do third world election system. The other thing that needs to happen is, we can't do the one that I said, but what we'll have to do is just a simple ballot system where you cannot allow postal votes. You get back to Scotland. If you're in the armed services, you get given leave to do it, or you get a base that's set up, and that people have to travel there by plane. One Scot with an international observer, one traitor with an international observer. So 4 people watching every single ballot that gets cast. They get counted on site, those ones, and transferred and double checked. Everything gets ratified and correlated, because you cannot trust the UK. They're the most devious government of all of mankind's written history. They are. They had control of the whole world. We're the last thing they have control of. They won't let us go because they're a dying empire and they know it. But they will still bring us down while their ship is burning and half submerged. They'll still bring us with them, because they'll do anything but to admit what they were, or have us get to see justice in the end. They'd rather have us die with them so the shame is gone. That's what it really comes down to, right? So, I'm happy to have a big piece of dye on my finger. I'm happy to have everyone have to show their IDs. IDs are easy enough to get in Scotland. But we'd have to do this anyway. But I'm getting conflated with the American situation here, which is even probably worse than ours. But when you spoil a vote, I think we only had a few thousand, I think 3,000 or something like that. Not that many, but remember, you leave a gap open for fraud to happen, and fraud will happen. That's why you've got to get rid of postal votes. They cannot be trusted. But you also get rid of the vote spoiling, because it should be signed off by 4 people. The 2 international observers, the Scot and the traitor, right? They all have to agree that something's spoiled, or else it's not spoiled, and they have to come to a consensus. Which is this for then? If they can't come to a consensus, it goes to a neutral, a pair of neutral observers. So, for example, you can have a senior observer from I don't know, Venezuela and Iceland, or you have to be careful. You have to stay away from any country that's got anything to do with the British Crown. You can't choose them from New Zealand. You can't choose them from Canada. They're part of. I won't get into it. But there's enough evidence out there that the simple fact that around the world right now, I will get into this, I'll just say really quickly. Build back better. Who said that? Boris Johnson, right winger. Who said that? Justin Trudeau, left winger. Jacinda Ardern, Charles Schwab, basically a Bond supervillain. A corporatist, you know. So when you get corporatists and what would you call them? Single government globalists together, and they're having the exact same tagline as left and right wing politicians around the globe. You really have to start asking yourself questions: where are these taglines coming from? And stop calling people conspiracy theories when the WHO or any other organization says something and you say, well, they actually said, you're a conspiracy theorist. Okay, well, you also have the internet that I use to check what they said. And you can also research what I did and see what the facts are. And here's the thing. Facts can't be theories, right? But theories do lead to facts. Every single Edward Snowden, for example, who our government would say who should be in jail because he exposed war crimes. Julian Assange exposed war crimes. That's why he's in jail in England. Our government in Scotland would support the same thing because they're patsies to the English legal system. It doesn't make any difference. So don't fool yourself. They are incarcerated and tortured. They've been kept away from their families, kept in horrible conditions, for the sole crime, apparent crime, of exposing war crimes that were committed on your behalf or in your name. And yet we're all accepting that. La la la, let's go on our own lives. Nothing to see here. There's a lot to see there. It should tell these Trump tards that Trump's just no better than Biden. Or Biden's no better than Trump. None of them will release. None of them did release, what's his name, Snowden, or give him a pardon. None of them will do it. Because they all work for the same people. It doesn't make any difference. And I really have the growing suspicion that SNP are no different, because the things they do make them appear as if they're controlled opposition. And this is why people are jumping ship and leaving the other parties. Not just because of the lack of tolerance, but also because of a failure to act upon mandates. So when I see them a failure to actually implement a proper referendum, they're setting themselves up for failure again, because they will leave the back door open like they did last time. The SNP, as I say to you, hundreds of tweets, hundreds of emails, not one fucking response, even when I was a member. And they could have looked at me on LinkedIn and see what I do as a profession. I was offering my services, as I say, for free. They don't give a fuck. All they care about is having the, oh, that's it, I'm related again. Oh, I get my extra pension goes on here. I get a raise of this much on the public purse. All they give a fuck about is themselves. Remember, politicians aren't on our side. They're not part of us. And you know, all that really matters is Scottish independence. After we get that, we can have all the squabbles and arguments that we want. Let's just get there first, and we're never going to get there if we create these new parties, or if these new parties don't understand that we need to stand behind SNP 1, Greens 2. It's the only strategy out there that's going to get rid of the Labour Party, to make a situation where we have two parties of the at least 5 in Scotland that are pro-independence, and fighting against this minority, and only one will have seats, which will be the Tory party. So it will be SNP and Greens against the Tories, instead of SNP against the Tories and Labour. Please think it's just simple strategy. What Tommy Sheridan said is 100% on point, and you can go down and you can do a freedom of information request and you can ask for that information yourself if you don't believe him, instead of just hanging a label and go, oh, hang on, conspiracy theorist, and the label for this one over here, what am I going to say about him? I know. You committed a crime years ago that you paid your debt to society to, but I'm still going to take the fuck off. You know what I mean? Wake the fuck up. I'm sick of this. Is just anything but to think. I'm not going to watch that video from you. Oh, no. I'm not going to be fooled. So they think that they're smart by not looking at some other point of view. And they're open to debate that point of view. They're open to even change my mind and showing them. But instead, I've got my programming and I'm going to carry on with the programming I have and not look at any new information. Do you know what that's like? That's like the last 318 years. 317 or 18 years. Where we sucked up all that bullshit, the occasional war that made us go, oh, for king and country or for queen and country, and that made previous generations get suckered into supporting this bullshit state of affairs that we've been in for all this time. It's the same thing. You refuse to believe, oh, I'm not going to believe that Russian propaganda, even though RT's the only channel, mainstream channel, that gives a platform to independent news shows that actually use them as a platform. That's right. Things like the Kaiser Report, for example, are not produced by RT. Or Alex Salmon shows, not produced by them. They produce their own shows and RT gives them a platform to be launched. As long as you don't say anything bad about Putin, oh, well, I can handle that. I mean, our government, our BBC and other corrupt systems are already saying enough about Putin. We don't need to have more shit about him. We've already got anything that's bad and true or even false about him. We don't need RT to say it. As long as they tell us shit about our country, which BBC, Sky TV, doesn't matter if it's right or left, the Tory Graph, the Guardian, they're all scum. They'll never tell us the truth. They're all part of it. When I say it, I mean the elitist system down in the southeast of England that doesn't serve anyone but itself, that has a network of, sorry for just eat a pie, a network of tax havens around the world, which is the whole reason that Brexit happened, and these Brexiteers are too fucking thick to realise that. Although, in saying this, if we're going to get an independent Scotland, let's not jump the gun now, but let's say we get there, let's take our time. We don't have to rush back into the EU. The EU doesn't actually need us more than we need them. We have a lot of oil reserves. We have energy for England, but we also have potential energy production of hydrogen and other things. so we can, fresh drinking water, whatever. All these, we've got a lot of resources that are not just that, the intellectual resources that we have in Scotland. We don't need to rush. Remember, they take a lot of our fish. We don't need to. We don't need to rush into something that's not going to benefit us. England already set us up for a bad deal. Let's try and make a good deal for ourselves when the time comes, and don't be so worried about that situation. Scotland is a self-sufficient country. New Zealand is learning right now, closing their borders, that they're not going to even destroy their economy because they're actually self-sufficient. They can feed themselves. That's what really matters here. So don't be so scared. It's not that hard to have self sovereignty and autonomy. Don't be scared. Life's not that difficult. You don't need governments checking in at you all the time. These support structures help with things like disabled people and things like that, but for the most part, most people don't need them in their lives. So don't be scared of these systems not being there for a while. Yeah, okay, Scotland might do bad for a couple of years. It's going to do bad anyway. We're part of a sinking ship called the United Kingdom. I'll probably leave it there. Country living. So, I'll probably leave it there, but please, SNP members, wake the fuck up. You're alienating half of Scotland here, and you're going to lose as this referendum will be so busy bickering that you won't notice someone sneaking in the back door, chucking in piles of ballots like what happened in the USA, and, just going to throw it all away like we always do.